Hello, my friend. If you're watching this, that means you decided to learn chess from me, who is a pretty bad teacher. Now, for other circumstances or otherwise, I'm not a very good typer teacher kind of guy. It's kind of easier for me to verbally and show you how to do things. Alright, so I have a MS Paint thingy here to make things, quote unquote, more visually appealing, but alright, let's start here. You got here the chessboard, alright? Here's the main chessboard. You got the rows and the columns. Alright, columns are labeled A through H, rows are labeled through 1 through 8. At the start of the chess game, the layout looks like this, alright? White pieces are start off on the 1 and 2 rows, black pieces start off 7 and 8. Inverted, turn this thing upside down, it would look kind of the same from the black side, just inverted in a way. I don't know how to show it, but yeah. Now, common openings. Actually, before we even do common openings, you need to let the pieces move. Like we had this conversation before. All right. So first we have the pawn. All right. The pawn starts on the second row or the seventh row, depending on what color you are. Second row for white, seventh row for black. The pawn, starting off its first move, can walk forward 2 spaces for its first move only. Not for any other move, just its first move only. Or it can move 1 square, which is its base move. Pawns can also are only able to capture diagonally, such as this, like that. If a pawn is otherwise here, is like in front of an enemy piece or any other piece is obstructing its path forward, it is unable to move past that and is essentially blocked, soft locked, basically. It can get out of the way by capturing any other any other piece, like this, and then yada 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 moves forward, forward, forward. Now, another thing with the pawns that it can do is, with another pawn, let's stop stretching, alright? Just do here, alright? And let's say the white pawn is right here. Let's say, for instance, the enemy pawn moves forward 2 spaces, and your friendly pawn is right next to it. Your friendly pawn can do this and capture behind it, essentially, and that's called en passant. Why it's called that, I don't know. I don't speak European, but that's just how chess works, I guess. Okay, next up we have the knight. The knight is going to start here on these 2 squares right here on B1 and G1 for white, and B8 and G8 for white. I mean for black. Oh yeah, I forgot how the squares work. Okay, so basically squares basically go from letter to number. That's how they're marked. So A1, B1, C1, D1, E4, F7, F6, that kind of coordinate stuff. All right, so the knight, right, starts on this kind of square. Let's do one of them. The knight can only move in an L shape, right? So it can only move 1, 2, 3, L, or 1, 2, 3, L, 1, 2, 3, L, 1, 2, 3, L, 1, 2, 3, L. It can also only capture in an L, basically. So if path, see, this knight is capturing on this bishop here, it's able to. Boom. But it was not able to do is capture this other knight here, because it's not in its path movements. All right, so it can only move from here to over here, over here. That's actually too far, don't do that one. It can move over here, or it can move over here. That doesn't look too good, but I hope you get the idea. Alright, return your stopping points. Next up is the bishop. The bishop, poor bastard, starts off on the 1 rank, like the 1 row, or the A, yeah, same row as the knight. As for white and black, but they start on the F and C squares. Alright, when starting off, they can move in any direction that is diagonal to itself. So basically, it can go any of these squares here, any of these squares here, if another piece is not obstructing it. The knight is the only piece that can go over a piece without any special exceptions, I think. I don't think any other piece can do that. From what my knowledge allows me to do. Who knows? I don't know. I don't care right now. Yeah. That's the bishop, I guess. Can capture and move diagonally. Another one is basically same thing with the dark square. This here's a light square bishop, but if you go to here, this is a dark square bishop, or considered a dark square bishop. So it can only stay on dark squares, see? Alright. Now on for the queen. The queen is basically the most powerful piece you have in your arsenal. It starts right here next to your king. Actually, hold on. I messed up something. Please don't do this to me. Alright, so here's your queen. And here's your king. Now, I'm using white here as an example, but it can also be for black, too. Because they pretty much start the exact same. Only difference is who starts first. Which is white. No racism is involved. That's just how it works. Anyway, so now the queen starts her next to your king. Right? She can move basically here, here, and here if there's no obstructions. Basically, she can move anywhere at any time on your move, and is considered the most valuable piece of the game. Here, 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 and here. Basically, that's her move patterns, or she's able to move. And that's basically her thing. The king starts off on the E rank, I guess. I don't know. But they start on E. Both kings start on the E squares. And the king is the weakest. Weakest. Oh my gosh, I don't feel so good. The king can only move 1 square at a time. So he can move here to here, or here to here, 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 and here to here. Basically, those are the only squares you can go to. Those are his options, I should say. Now, there's also another thing with the king called castling. Basically, oh shoot, I haven't told you about the rook yet. Actually, hold on. Before that, the rook starts on either the H or A squares. Well, both of them do. Start with 2. And they are able to go in horizontal and vertical straight directions. So this and that. No crookedness, no diagonals, just straight squares. There's another thing called castling with the king, in which if neither the king or the rook you're trying to castle with have moved at all, and you're able to, and there's no obstructions in the way, so for example, this knight here and this bishop here, let's just say they're already gone, alright? Like, they've already moved somewhere else, alright? The king can move over 2 squares here, and the rook can essentially hop over the king, and move over 2 squares also. Essentially, what you end up getting is the king over here and the rook over here. And that's castling. And you can only do that once, because that's just how castling works. Like I said, if the king or the rook hasn't moved at all in the game, and you're able to, like, there's no obstructions, you're not in check or anything, that sort of thing. Another mechanic in chess is also called checking. Alright, so, checking is basically putting was the king's in danger, or was in threat of being checkmated, which is just check. When the king's in danger, like, under threat of being captured, or in, like, pieces capturing sites. See here, this king is in check here, because the queen can attack him right here. Now, the king has an option, right? Well, white has an option. It can either get a piece to block it, a piece to capture it, or just simply by moving. Alright? So, we got here the knight able to block the way, so the king's no longer in check. Or, the pawn can just capture the queen, thus eliminating the threat. That's an example of check. You'll find other ways for check to happen. Like, if the knight is in its line of sight here, like, the knight's able to capture the king, then that's in check. The bishop, any piece able to capture the king. A rule here that we have is that kings cannot capture each other. Like, they cannot enter their proximity right next to each other. That's to assume, because it goes against rules in chess where you can't put yourself in check, and that's not allowed, and magnets repel. I guess. I don't know how to say it. Yeah. Basically. And let's see here. This is the starting position for all the pieces. As you can see here. Now, an opening that I like to play, usually as a starting play, I like to put this pawn, the E pawn, the king pawn up 2 squares first. That's not the right section. There you go. This here, 2 sections, right? Then it's black's turn, which in this case would be the opponent. So we're going to put 2 favorites here. That's also a common move to do. And then usually you want to develop pieces first, like your other pieces, like your bishop, knight, like bishops and knights, queens maybe. So what I would do is I would develop the knight forward. A big thing at the beginning of chess for most people is attacking these middle 4 squares here. These 4 squares allow you to get the most traction for your game. I don't know how else to say it. There's definitely some other better tutorials out there that can better tell you this, but this is just coming from me. You want your pieces to get as much at the center as possible at the start, alright? That's not how chess works. Okay, so you move here first, and then next up here. And see, now your king's able to castle it. So after your opponent moves, I assume they're just copying you here. So now your king's able to castle, because the king hasn't moved yet, nor has the rook. Stop. Stop. There we go. And then the rook goes over here. That's castling. Let's just say the enemy king does the exact same, because God forbid I'm lazy as hell. So do this, do that. Boom. Alright. Now you're at a position where the game can go on and on. But basically, the start of the game, you want to get your pieces to the center to take control of the center. That allows you to have a better push on the enemy. Alright. I don't think I have much else to say. If you have any questions, I guess you could ask me, but I'm not a very good teacher, alright? I'm better at doing this when I'm doing it in person. I'm sorry.